Are you ready to know what you don't know about social media? Well, then you're in the right place. This is the Seb Rust Show on Social Buzz on Air. Social Media Radio. Bring you tips, tricks, tools, and extreme value. Broadcasting from our studio in Miami. And now, here's your host, Sebastian Rust.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, welcome back to the show. Maybe welcome to the show because it's your first time. Either way, you're in for a real treat with this episode. All of my guests are amazing, and I'm always excited about them. I'm extra excited about this guest. She is absolutely crushing the LinkedIn game. Shay Rowbottom has been actively pursuing her brand on LinkedIn over the past 24 months and also helping founders and CEOs go from nobody's on LinkedIn to somebody's based on what her strategies are and what she's learned works and does not work. I tracked her down through the internets, but we actually got introduced through mutual friends because this world is so very tiny. I really hope you leave this episode with at least one or two things that you did not know about LinkedIn. Friends, please help me welcome to the show, Shay Rowbottom. What's happening?
What's going on, Sebastian? Thanks for having me here.
Hey, this is a lovely way to spend a Friday evening.
This is a great way to spend a Friday evening.
I don't know what you're doing with your Friday evening. You may be listening to this on a Wednesday morning. So
that's true. Yeah.
Either way, hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for making time to come down to the studio. You are officially the first human being in the studio.
Wow. First human being in the studio.
This is episode 50 of the Seb Rust Show.
I'm honored.
Yes.
That is a big shoes to fill right here.
Well,
first person.
First guest and on the podcast.
Oh,
in the
wow.
studio.
That's amazing. All right.
A lot of milestones here.
Good. I love it. Congrats.
So you and I met, we were introduced through a mutual friend. Shout out to Dom, the Inner Peace Advisor.
Thank you, Dominic.
Advisor.
Yes.
But I've been following you for quite some time. If 10 years ago, if you said you were following me, I'd call the police. But these days it's pretty common.
Yes.
So I would venture to say I found you on LinkedIn through your content.
Probably. That's where most people find me, and that is still by far my biggest channel. So
yeah, you post these videos and get like 400,000 people watch the thing. It's unbelievable.
Not always, but yeah,
breaks LinkedIn every single day.
Thank
with
you.
The videos.
Yeah, it's been a good thing that I've had going there, and it's like the best platform to grow on because it's all business. So.
All right, so let's back up because
back up.
So you haven't been doing this a long time as far as LinkedIn is concerned.
No,
you're almost a LinkedIn newbie because when you joined like last year, didn't you?
I joined May of 2018.
Okay,
so coming up on 2 years this year.
Still,
yeah,
less than 2 years is
right. I'll have over 200,000 followers by like the end of the month, and I started less than 2 years ago.
Wow, that's mind-boggling.
Actually, March. What was the date? Sometime in March of last year, I had just broken 40,000 followers. So I'm on track to hit 1 million by this time next year with how fast you grow.
Yeah.
Because it accelerates. That's what people don't realize when you grow a following. Like it literally just gets easier. The first 1,000's the hardest. The first 10,000's the hardest. The first 100,000's the hardest. And then kind of carries you from there. So
it's great intel right there. So you woke up one day and said, I'm going to open up a LinkedIn account.
Not exactly. I had a LinkedIn account. I did have one, like everyone has one, right? And no one uses it or they log on if they need a job. So I actually had one for quite a few years, never used it. I think I had like one lead gen service that I hired to go on my account years ago. Like
I did that too.
Yeah, like many years ago. And like, actually, I'm glad I did it. It didn't really work out, the lead gen service, but what they did was they sent out connections on my behalf. So I actually had a little bit of a base when I started posting content in May of 2018. I had like 4,000 connections because of that lead gen service, but I had never posted on LinkedIn. I knew nothing about it. I ended up meeting Q, Q with the hat. Yeah.
Well, I don't know him, but I know him through the internet.
Yeah. He's a Milwaukee guy. One of my sales guys that was working for me at the time introduced me to him. He's like, I really think you should talk to this Q guy. He's like crushing on LinkedIn. I had a Facebook agency, so I knew a lot about video marketing, but I was like, LinkedIn, like what? No way. And he's like, no, just talk to him. And I was like, okay, fine. So I met Q. He was like, yeah, you got to get on LinkedIn. I was like, all right, let's try it. It wasn't just me who started it. It was like a couple people from my company. They all fizzled away and dropped off. I stayed consistent and eventually left that Facebook agency to refocus and help businesses do the same thing on LinkedIn with video content.
So you stuck with LinkedIn regardless of what you
I
were.
was very consistent. I had a goal in the beginning, just post 3 original selfie videos per week. I didn't complicate it. I posted every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And what did you talk about in the beginning?
Anything. I honestly wasn't picky. I did talk about video marketing, and I gave like video advice, positioned myself as an expert in like the video marketing space. But I was super depressed, and I was like not in a good place when I got on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn kind of saved me because I literally ended up opening up to LinkedIn about my depression like pretty early on in creating content, and it was like massive the impact it had. Like I got so many views. I was like, whoa, like it was practically viral for my page at the time. I got leads from it. I was like, are you kidding? Like this is crazy,
It's amazing what happens when you share your truth.
Yeah, that's what I realized. That's the beautiful thing. I always say, like, I mean, it's not the case for everybody, and God forbid, like, I don't wish depression on people. But for me, being so depressed and even suicidal was like a good thing, because what happened was I realized, like, well, if I'm going to die anyways, I'm just going to start telling the truth. And I really stopped caring. I stopped caring what people think. That's how miserable I was. And then, like, lo and behold, it's like, oh, people really want to hear the truth. So I found myself again, like through the platform, I was really able to be artistic again, be a performer in a sense, but now merge, because I have a background in music before I got into business. And
she's going to sing later.
We'll see. But I was able to like merge at this point in time my background in music with everything I had learned about digital marketing to become a standout on LinkedIn, because there was very few people utilizing video. There was very little competition. And I had just spent 3 years studying viral video on Facebook. I was very introverted, but I was unhappy. I was just unfulfilled. I was making money. I had a good business, but just didn't feel like it was my own thing, and it wasn't. I had like many partners. I had investors at that point. Like,
that's a lot of pressure.
Oh, it was.
You have to get along.
It was a no buenos dias.
Usually it turns out like this.
What is that?
Like that. That's usually the outcome of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like when you hire somebody to message people on LinkedIn, same outcome. I was trying out my new sound effects on there.
I see. Gotcha.
I forgot to tell you
There's
I had sound effects. Yes.
I can't hear the sound effects. So that's why it just
oh my gosh.
It just sounded silent to me. That's why. I'm like,
okay, hashtag
what's going on?
New studio fail. You're like, what is that?
I figured you knew what you were doing over there.
Okay,
but
got it.
It was
like the game show trombone when you lose.
Yeah. So, but it was,
here.
Yeah, I mean, it was a variety of content that I covered in the beginning, and I just saw right away the impact it had on people. I saw the leads it was able to generate, and then I started to build a community. Like, I literally found friends through LinkedIn. I found people who cared about me, people who messaged me like, oh my gosh, you're depressed, I'm depressed. I'm like, what? Like,
let's be depressed together.
Yeah. Well, so many people feel alone.
Sure.
And that's what I learned. I opened up about like my family struggles on there, coming from a broken home, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I was just like, this is so common. Like, this is literally so common. Like, this is so silly that we all walk around with a mask on when it just doesn't do the world any good. It's a bunch of fakeness. People are operating from shame. Just gonna get right into the deep stuff here.
Your video today was great too. That how do you turn haters into raving fans? And
it's true.
The first quote that popped in my head was that hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people. And that's another thing I don't agree with about the whole like justice system. I get it. They're dangerous. They're psychopaths. Get them off the street. But we don't really rehabilitate anyone.
Right.
And the reality is demonizing people doesn't get us anywhere. We need to figure out the source. Like, why are these people prone to hurt, to seek out people to destroy, and to commit crimes, to abuse themselves even? Why is everyone abusing themselves so much?
Sure.
Why do we have addiction, obesity, all these problems? I think there's a lot of like blame, shame, and pointing the finger going on, when the reality is I don't believe that. I believe every narcissist, every psychopath, every person that we label disgusting and throw them in a cage, can I swear on here?
You can do whatever you want.
They went through some fucked up shit to get that way.
Right.
That's what I believe. Like,
sure.
So, yeah.
Well, I think we've all had a unique journey somewhere along the line, and we've either come to terms with what happened and just taken full ownership of it.
Yes.
Or in full accountability and ownership of your life, and being able to move on and do something with it. You've obviously done something of that nature.
But not everyone makes it out. That's what I learned. Like, I haven't fully opened up about my story and all, but like, it's rare to be me.
100%. And I think I don't think that there is it's not a cure that we're looking for mental health, because it's not, I don't believe that it's a disease. I think it's more of a condition that we all experience at some point in time. We've all been down,
Right.
depressed. Life has shown up in some form or fashion in a significant way that's been traumatic, and to even think of reliving it is unimaginable.
Wow.
But being able to have these conversations and the transparency, I always say, I meet with a group of guys from church. I probably should go every time they meet, but I don't go as frequently as I can.
Sure.
And I go to these things because I had a friend tell me, so Sebastian, what is everyone else missing out on by you not being there? And I'm the transparent guy.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. And I was like,
beautiful.
a lot. But more importantly, I have zero filter, like no filter, especially in a safe space with a group of guys having a conversation about life. And I found that extracts other people to open up and say, well, things aren't really that good in this area too. And that's where real change and real community takes place, is when we're willing to take off our masks and say, hey, here's who I am and here's what the fuck is really going on.
Yep. It's why I've grown a following. I mean, among my digital marketing acumen, that certainly helped, knowing how to create videos for the newsfeed. But like, I truly believe it's why I grew a following, because people are just like, oh, wow, this chick is saying all the things that I think and feel, but I'm terrified to ever go out and say, because it's controversial and a lot of it's polarizing. I don't mean to be polarizing. It's just the nature of a lot of the content, and people don't want to be the one that's disliked. A lot of people are operating from a place of, how can I get everyone to like me and just not rock the boat? I'm not like that, because like I said, I hit rock bottom. I was suicidal. I didn't care anymore. I was like, I'm just going to start telling the truth. I'm just going to, this is my final hurrah. Let's do it. And then,
what changed?
A lot of things, I mean, it was like a progression to get out of the depression. I'm not going to say like, oh, it just happened overnight. We're like, oh, I'm not depressed anymore. It was like years in the making, but I will say it was LinkedIn, like straight up. LinkedIn saved my life. I started to grow on that platform. And I realized that I was capable. I realized I wasn't helpless. I had a real, and this is something, people will learn more about me as I open up, and I'm creating my own podcast as well. But I had like a crippling case of learned helplessness, Sebastian, like crippling. You wouldn't know it from the outside, because I was like this fake, powerful woman. I was like, running a company and I had lots of employees, but I was totally codependent, and I was like in business with all these guys who didn't value me. And, I just allowed it. I allowed it. I manifested that for myself because I didn't believe I was capable of doing anything on my own, which I learned later came from my childhood and a lot of things I was repressing, which created this deep sense of powerlessness and learned helplessness, where when I finally was able to recall and break through that, it was like, and then I could actually get to dismantling it. So it was a number of things, starting to work on myself, going to therapy, dealing with my childhood wounds I'd been avoiding my whole life, but also LinkedIn and just like showing up there and being authentic, and the community it built and all the people who were like, you're not alone, Shay. And actually we love you. And like, you're our savior for posting about this. I'm like, I am like, and people call me brave. I'm like, I don't feel brave at all. I feel like I was like, it was pathetic. I feel like it was pathetic. I feel like I was at rock bottom. I didn't care. It was a cry for help. People are like, oh no, you're brave. I'm like, that's cool that people think I'm brave. I never saw it like that, but it is true.
Yeah, but Shay, you got to understand the other side of the pendulum is nothing gets talked about, nothing happens, and you die.
Exactly. A lot of people, I love this. They say, what's the quote? Most people are pretending and then they die. Right. Most people are pretending and then they die. It's so true. I live my life every day like we're all going to be in the ground. He, she, everyone whose opinion I'm worrying about right now, we're all going to be dead in 100 years. So who cares? Once you can really put things in perspective and understand like your time here is limited, and when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to care that you were the most liked or the most popular. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't speak my mind, so I didn't rock the boat at that event. It's like, who cares? I don't care about people hating me. I care about leaving this place a more evolved planet, and so many people are not doing that right now because they're just operating from fear, from shame, and they just want to be liked.
So self-consumed in that too, and that creates a world of narcissism. That's a whole nother topic on here. But
narcissism.
I think of my buddy Gary Bishop, who was my instructor at the Landmark Forum, oddly enough, 5 years ago.
I hear Landmark is great.
Landmark's fantastic,
That's
but
awesome.
he continued to repeat over and over again. We've got one shot at this whole life thing, and then we die. And they put you in a box, they kick some dirt on top of it, and everyone forgets about you in a week.
Oh, man. In a week? Oh, gosh. My narcissism won't let that happen, Sebastian. But what about, do you believe in multiple lives? I get the whole, one life to live, do it big, but, do you believe in reincarnation, that, we actually come back again and again?
I do not.
No? What religion are you?
I don't believe in religion. I'm a devout Christian, and I believe in relationships. So I believe.
But you said you go to church.
I do.
So is that
that's not religion? No, that's community.
That's
relationship.
That's
Religion
news to me.
Religion says no. Relationship says yes.
Gotcha.
Community. Et
gotcha. But just one life, and then that's it.
No, eternal life in heaven with Jesus.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Okay, all right.
Since I've been knee high to a Girl Scout. I've seen too much not to be. That's my whole
deal. Did you grow
deal.
up religious?
I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, which is very comparable. Yeah,
good Lord.
Yeah, very comparable to a cult.
No doubt.
So it was, don't drink, don't chew, don't hang with those that do. And it was also, don't do this and don't do that, and brimstone and fire, and you're going to hell. Yeah. So when I was 18, I walked away from it all. I'm like, who wants all this? I don't need all this. And then
how much hypocrisy was in the Southern Baptist community you grew up in, would you say?
I would say 90%.
And now 90%. And now you're in a more mild, community-based.
Well, I moved to Southern California, where the revolution of going to church.
Religion is illegal there.
No. You go to the whole revolution that started in the 70s of being able to go to church in Birkenstocks and tie-dye shirts, and the whole hippie church movement was evolved out there. So when I went to church, and it was relevant message and cool music and everything was new and modern, I thought, wow, this is different.
Right.
And that continued to modernize, and now they meet in unconventional spaces. My church meets in a school in Wynwood.
Oh, that's cute.
And
I love Wynwood.
It's a very different environment. People are like, this is in theaters and different types of environment. I just think that people crave community, and the modern church provides the opportunity to be able to do that. Their tagline is you don't need to believe to belong. Just keep coming back.
Yeah. And also that you don't need to judge people that aren't Christian.
Sure.
Because that's a big thing that I dislike about Christianity is they literally teach kids from the time they're babies, oh, if you don't believe, you go to hell. I mean, I've literally had multiple people in my life say to me, yeah, I don't know about this whole religion thing or if the Bible's real, Shay, but I would just rather believe in case, because I don't want to go to hell. So better safe than sorry. I'm like, doesn't that sound like really strategic brainwashing? That's just my opinion. But the thing is, it creates more followers, and then which okay, whatever, you believe just to believe in case, cool. But what I really see is people judging other people who don't believe because of that specific belief about the hell thing. And this is, I want to hear your opinion on this, because this is something I've had a lot of experience with people who converted away from Christianity. They said the hardest thing for them was fearing hell and feeling like they were going to go to hell, and their uncle would die. Their uncle was an atheist, and their whole family would be like, oh, he's going to hell now. And then it's this big, it's a judgment thing on that person. Right. So what are your thoughts on that? And how do you kind of simultaneously keep these beliefs about if you don't believe in Jesus as Savior, you burn in hell, but then not judge people who don't believe, where's that balance?
I think it's not I think that other people's journey is none of my business.
Yeah.
What you believe and how you believe and where you think you're going or not going or what actually happens, that's a conversation between you and God, not anybody else. It's a very, very personal relationship. I'm called to love you. That's it.
That's great. I think that's how it should be.
And anything above and beyond that, judging just that completely, what's the word I'm looking for? When it contradicts the entire practice.
Isn't that
of Christianity.
crazy? But it's so common.
Listen, it's very simple. It's in plain print in the Bible for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Love your neighbor. That's what we're just called to be able to do. And if you look at the life of, and I think that regardless of what people believe, and listen, my famous tagline is that I love Jesus, but I cuss a lot. Right. So I'm a recovered Southern Baptist that doesn't believe in religion.
Recovered Southern Baptist.
Yeah. I believe in relationship, and I believe that I am a vehicle to the foot of the cross. Where foot of the cross that's an analogy of saying when people want to have a conversation about my faith, we can have a conversation, but it doesn't have.
Well, a lot of people say they're a Christian, but it's what are you doing? Like, they don't do anything. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm a Christian, you know.
There's a good quote.
Are you?
There's a good quote that's been around forever that is, preach the gospel at all times, use words when necessary. And yeah. So if you look at the life of Jesus, I think that regardless of what anybody believes, the guy lived, he walked the earth, he was a human being, right? But he was here for a short time. But when he was here, what did he do?
Turn water into wine.
Yeah, well, that and acts of service.
Yes,
and show.
He hung out with hookers.
Right.
He did not judge.
Tax collectors. Right. Exactly. So
I don't know. Yeah.
When I look at a guy like that, I'm like, that's kind of a guy you want to role model. That's what I look after.
Agree.
So
right. He had some feminine energy, some nice femininity.
For sure. The long hair.
He didn't
and
have that toxic masculinity going on where he was all buff. He was like, no.
Yeah, he could have been buff. He was a carpenter, so anything's possible.
I don't know.
So we could talk about. We could talk. I don't know how in the world we got on the church.
I don't know either, because you started telling me about your church. I'm like, cult stuff fascinates me too, because my narcissism. That's like.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
we're gonna go from church to narcissism.
Yeah, well, they're related.
You call
no doubt.
You call yourself a what is it? What is the title pertaining to narcissism? It was like recovered narcissist. There's like a tagline.
I don't know. I don't know if I say anything about myself. I've definitely been narcissistic in my life.
No, but there's like something like being a victim of a narcissist. There's some sort of
just a survivor of narcissism.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right. My parents are narcissists, like through and through. Very, very the worst type, the covert, white, charming, successful. Like a lot of narcissists have success. They have money, and they even are in a position where they help a lot of people, which they do strategically so that, like 20% of the time when they're kind of overtly abusive and people are kind of looking twice, like, what? Did they really just do that? They justify it by like, oh, but they help so many people. Oh, but they're the head of the church and they donate. Right. So people think that like these people are only abusive like a fraction of the time, and that's why they stick around them, not realizing the other 80% is actually where the real abuse occurs, because that's where the manipulation happens, where they set themselves up to be this hero, to be this really giving person. I mean, trust me, I never thought I'd be like this narcissism. I've read a lot of books, I've studied narcissism, but it just kind of fell into my lap because I started figuring out what was wrong with my childhood, like my parents, like the alcoholism, like all the dots started connecting. And then the men in my life, not just romantic relationships, but business relationships. It was like I was surrounded by narcissists. It's
almost like all you knew.
Exactly. So like I didn't just go off on a limb like, oh, I'm curious about narcissism. It like literally fell in my lap. I had to learn about it because it was all I was attracting. And then I also very narcissistic. I don't know how anyone couldn't be coming out of my home, honestly, because it's how you learn to survive. Sure. It's like a generational thing. Like your parents are narcissists, then you learn like, oh, like love is manipulation. It's like a whole rabbit hole we could go down. So really, I actually identify way more with what people call like an empath. Like an empath. They say like that's like a common like narcissist empath relationship where. A lot of people get into romantic relationships with narcissists because they themselves are very empathic, and narcissists seek out empaths to destroy. Essentially, they're like really easy to manipulate because they're gonna always see the good in them, justify like, oh well, he's not really that bad. That 80-20 breakdown that I just said before. Right. So I definitely identify with being an empath, but very narcissistic tendencies. I mean, I could lie, I could manipulate, I could be really cold. So a lot of it also came from facing myself and realizing like, dude, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I able to be this way? And where's this coming from? So I do identify more with an empath, but with narcissistic tendencies. And then essentially I went out and I started to research narcissism, realizing, oh, wow, like all the resources out there, again, going back to what we just talked about with the punishment, it's like they're all like against narcissists, which don't get me wrong, like they suck and you should protect yourselves from narcissists and you should get out and escape. And if you have to demonize them for a while to like heal, I totally get that. That's part of the process. But I believe narcissists are victims. They're hurt. That's why they end up that way. Yeah. I don't believe my parents had much of a chance coming out of the upbringings that they came out of. And it's just a generational curse. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah, it is.
So for me, and my siblings, because, none of us have kids, and I think that's for a very good reason, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. I do believe it comes from wanting to be the end of the legacy. Like, fuck this,
the buck stops here. Yeah.
Yeah. You just realize, but, it really comes from the world. And we talked about this earlier, the world being so fake. Like we all operate from this place of fakeness, of trying to fit in, of shame, of fear. That's narcissism. You know, people don't see it because it's not like cancer where it's overt, like, oh, cancer is clearly an epidemic, people are dying. Narcissism is killing us just as much. And it's the core reason that there is so much low self-esteem, insecurity, and all those things. But really, you know, the codependent and the narcissist, like the relationship, they're both codependent. You know, they're both addicted and trying to feed off this other person to meet their needs. The narcissist coming more from a place of control and getting off to controlling this other person and needing their energy and sucking off their energy. Whereas the empath or the codependent is more so feeling safe, even though they're with an abuser. Like they find some comfort in it because their dad was also an abuser. It's like, it's familiar to them. So they don't find any value in just being alone by themselves. They think that they need this partner to build them up. And that's also part of the narcissist game. They'll manipulate you over time to feel that you need them, you're dependent on them. That's what happened in my relationships in my life. That's what happened with my own mother. It's a really powerful disease and it goes very unnoticed, especially in white people with money, which, let's face it, are practically running the country. So it's very unspoken, and that's part of what I want to bring awareness to.
I mean, it all ties into the mental health conversation.
Yeah, mental health. You say, what did you say? I love what you said before about like it's not a disease, it's or something.
Yeah, I think it's more of a condition we've all experienced.
I feel like it's just normal. Like we should stop calling it a disease.
Well,
like
normal is a setting on your dryer.
Sure. I mean, it is. It's unfortunately the state that most of us are living in, you know what I mean? So it's not so much that it's a disease. It's everywhere. It's just the state of the world. Have you ever Dominic showed me this. There's like a I forget what it's called. It's where you have like the levels of what's the word, like emotions and consciousness. It starts all the way at the bottom is shame, and then it goes all the way up to enlightenment with like, you know, anger being more toward the middle, and then you get courage, and then you get willingness, blah blah. Like it's like all the steps you go through to reach enlightenment, and shame being the lowest. So shame is literally the lowest vibration that a human can be at, and it's very hard to come out of that. Like it's why people commit suicide. It's why like shame is the lowest vibration. That's where I was for years, right? And I look around and I'm like, that's where everyone is. Like that's why we're so easy to control. That's why we don't like stand up for ourselves anymore with like the food system, the government. We're just like, oh, let's poison ourselves. Like there's no self-respect because we're all operating from the lowest human vibration, which is shame. A lot of us anyways. I believe the majority.
Everyone, that's a blanket.
I do. I believe the majority of people are operating from that. And you could very much argue that shame is narcissism. Narcissism is a product of being, you were so shamed as a little child that you split from yourself and you created a false self that has no empathy to survive. So like facing your true self would be too painful because you were abused and shamed, and children don't have the emotional capacity to deal with that. So it is shame. I believe shame is where narcissism comes from.
I believe I became a narcissist before gratitude training because I just said this to my mom.
A narcissist, like you have to be careful though, because like a narcissist, and like fuck the labels. I mean, it is helpful in explaining. I don't really like labels.
Self-consumed. Okay, there we go.
But you were probably more narcissistic rather than like
self-centered, maybe
a full-blown narcissist. Anyone can heal, but like when you're a full-blown narcissist, it's very hard to come back from. I think a lot of people more so have narcissistic tendencies. Where they kind of go in and out.
That's not me.
Yeah. So what happened?
Well, my dad is a total narcissist, and I severed a relationship with him last year because he wanted to go. So his wife has been always a very, a treat.
She's the empath.
30 years. She's the need attention.
Hypochondriac. Hypochondriac.
Oh my God, you have no idea. Next level. Next level. Anyway.
Another episode.
So he wanted to go to my daughter's graduation, and I'm like, well, my daughter gets to graduate one time, and I'm not going to have your wife fuck it up, right? And he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking. And I said, listen, it's a 30-year track record of ruining shit. And I'm not willing at 40 years old, I'm at risk adverse. Wow. I'm not willing to roll the dice. Yeah. So the answer is no, you're not invited to graduation. And he went crazy in the church parking lot and hangs up on me and then deletes me and blocks me on Facebook.
Wow.
Now, we've always had a broken relationship because he'd never gotten over my mom divorcing him. 30 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So
the
he'll
blame
still
game.
talk. He'll still talk about it to this day.
God.
I just want to let you know
so
that it wasn't me that walked out. It was your mother.
I'm not saying it's easy, but I truly believe a lot of people, if they just took that leap and said, you know what, mom and dad, siblings, even whoever, I'm out. I'm not going to try anymore just because we're family. Like,
but what a way to live, though. I look at like my accomplishments of my father, and I'm like, so what said at your eulogy? Like, what is really said?
Yeah,
that you were a narcissist and you married wrong.
Right? Do you like rap? Do you like NF? He's a Christian rapper.
No, I haven't heard of him.
NF, yeah, he has a line that says, you spend your whole life worried about what's in your wallet. For what? That money won't show up in your coffin.
Oh yeah, that's right. You never see, you never see a hearse pulling a U-Haul.
Right.
Ever.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like, I want my grandkids to be rich as fuck. But
right.
So there is some truth in that like you don't die with no money per se, because you can leave it and you can leave the world a better planet with a lot of money. The issue is getting a lot of money and building empires on top of insecurity and rage even, and the arriving at that place of like, okay, I have all this stature, I have all this wealth, but then realizing you're still unfulfilled because you did it from not from your heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not being aligned with your life. I heard a quote a long time ago and it rocked my world. It said that my biggest fear is a book called Fresh Wind, Fresh Fire. And it's a story of the Brooklyn Tabernacle, which started back in the 70s in humble beginnings with a husband and a wife. And the stories that took place are unbelievable, but now the place is world renowned. It's in Brooklyn. It's still a church. Awesome. They have a huge choir. It's a special place. Anyway, but there was a line in one of the first chapters that said when they were first starting the church and having all these challenges and almost getting kicked out and heroin addicts and prostitutes showing up and like crazy times, not knowing what was going on. But he said, a thought just continued to come up day after day. And that was that my biggest fear was that my life would end and God would not show up mightily on my behalf. And I thought, whoa. And that totally rocked my world and completely shifted the conversation that I was having with myself on, Simon Sinek says, people don't care what you do, they care why you do it. That I was able to nail it then because I was no longer selling something or trying to figure out the next thing. It was, how can I create something that, yes, I've got a daughter where I could leave a legacy and I could leave this place better than I found it. But more importantly, what can I do to contribute to make people's life better? I don't know what it is. Is it my energy? Is it a conversation? It's the ability to build relationships with people. It's the ability to do great things. But that all led me to figuring out this whole podcast journey. And now this year, we're going to help 100 people start a podcast. Well, 98 now. Yeah,
it has a ripple effect. You help 100 people, then each one of those 100 people helps 100 people, and they help 100 people. And so
instead of just going through the motions and just, we got one shot at this thing. They say it right here on my Gary V. 004's One Life.
Those are sick, dude. Right? Love it. What? Mine are
high top.
A little lame compared to yours.
Shout out to my boy Gary V. He did social media influencer extraordinaire, brought back a shoe brand, bro. K-Swiss, bringing it way back.
Yeah, I like K-Swiss.
K-Swiss.
I never had issues with them. Yeah,
no, I didn't either. I had no beef with K-Swiss, but
Skechers. Let's bring back the Skechers.
They wanted to launch an entire entrepreneur brand, so that's how Gary got in the whole mix. I was like, listen, we're going to bring you back and make you guys cool.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Speaking of cool,
let's talk.
Yeah,
cool stuff.
I got something really cool in the mail the other day. I guess we could say this episode is brought to you in part by my friends at Poddex. So you're starting a podcast and you're like, hey,
I am, yes.
What do I talk about? Or
I got plenty to talk about, Sebastian.
This one's not no challenge. I don't have any challenge, but sometimes people do. So this guy invented Poddex. This is a deck of cards.
That's dope.
It is.
I love that.
The interview deck contains 50 unique conversation starting questions to help you take your podcast interviews to the next level and keep your audience entertained. So that's the interview deck, and then we've got the episode deck. So what's the next episode going to be? Well, here's 50 brand new ideas, and then second edition Poddex, even more questions that you can ask your guests. So you got right here, you got all of your structure for your entire show. As Brian Fanzo would say, just press the damn button. So shout out to Poddex for sending these to me. I promised you guys a nice unboxing. Not a better way to do that than episode 50. Can I see it?
50. You mind?
Yeah,
I want to check it out,
Absolutely,
dude.
go nuts. Rip them open.
I want to improve my language.
Yeah, let's actually.
Should we bust one open? Should we just start? Yeah, let's play this one.
Yeah.
The interview.
Yeah,
all right,
you do the second edition. I'll do the first edition.
I don't have any nails right now. Can you open this for me?
Me neither.
Yeah, right. Look at us. We're just a couple of dudes.
Don't mind us. We can get a deck of cards open.
We can do it. How many LinkedIners does it take to open a pod deck?
Oh my goodness.
Get a pen.
Teeth work. Yeah, that's teeth work. I don't know who touched these before.
I have Invisalign in.
Oh,
so I can't do it. Yeah,
you can't.
I'm straightening my teeth. I'm trying to get pretty.
I'm doing that this year too. Yeah, I've got to get this. I've got to get this whole program.
Guys kind of look hot with crooked teeth, though. I can't even lie.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm totally sexist about this. I'll admit, but it's like for me, when a guy has like perfect straight teeth, it's actually kind of like I don't know, like you know what I mean? Like I think guys can pull off the crooked teeth look a little more. It's like a little more character, whereas women, it's a little more like I like my women with straight teeth. I won't lie. Yours are fine. Like I wouldn't say.
My self-esteem just went through the roof.
It just depends.
I'm inviting her back whenever she wants.
It just depends. I'm not saying like, especially guys with like really big teeth. Like if they're like really big
like
and then
Tony
they get
Robbins?
them like perfectly. Oh yeah, I guess he's just big in general. He's got everything big to match.
He's a
yeah,
giant.
yeah.
He's definitely the biggest human being that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Did you see him in person?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I've been twice. I went twice with my.
You are like all after these personal development programs. I love it.
Junkie.
I respect it so much.
I took my daughter when she was 12. We walked on fire with Usher and Pitbull.
Oh, dude, that's lit. Yeah. I'm a big Tony fan. I am.
He's fantastic.
Yeah. You know who I mess with the most lately though is do you know Kerwin Ray?
No.
Kerwin Ray. Ugh, so underrated. He's like the Gary Vee of Australia, but deeper.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a Gary Vee of Australia.
Yeah, he's the best.
Right,
what are we doing?
We're going to do a quick story. Yeah, we got to do a quick stories program for.
Let's get after it.
For the what's it called here?
For the what's it called?
We're doing it for the gram.
Do it for the gram.
Interview.
Oh, did you open mine?
Yeah.
Did you? Thank you, Sebastian. All right.
We just opened up a pack of pod decks.
Oh, I got a good one. I love it.
What is it?
Okay, if you had a personal mascot, what would it be?
Probably a clown. Is that a mascot?
Yeah, mascot. Does it have to be like a living thing? Can I do the sun? Is that lame? Because that's my brand logo thing.
Yes.
The sun. All right, let's do a different one.
What's
or your turn now. You go.
What do you value most in your friends?
Honesty. Friends to call me out of my bullshit. I don't need more people to make me feel good. I need people who are gonna be honest. Yeah, friends who are honest with me. I have a good friend. And she triggers the fuck out of me. Literally, I'm like, you trigger me so much. She's like, why? I'm like, because you tell me the truth. You call me out on my bullshit.
I love it.
Those are the best friends to have.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Your turn.
All right, my turn. All right, let's see. Your question was cooler than mine. Why was yours cooler? What is the dumbest way you've been injured? I know mine.
Roller skating.
Roller skating?
At a community college. I broke my ankle.
Oh, that shit is dangerous. That is rough. All right, you go.
All right, let's see here. I kind of want to shuffle them.
Why?
I don't know. It's a deck of
don't
cards.
It's brand new. You only shuffle because it's.
That's a stupid.
Oh, he rejected that one.
All these hero questions. Which living person do you most admire? I'd say Tony and Gary.
Yeah, Tony Robbins is up there for sure. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Whoa, nobody top of mine, huh?
Give me another one. Yeah, right. Well, it's like it's not because there's no one. It's because there's so many. Like picking one is hard. Give me another one. Hit me with an easier question.
What do you consider the most overrated virtue?
What's a virtue again?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Too. Virtue is like a value.
Yeah.
Overrated virtue, religion.
Oh, hey, back to the religion one. Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
Probably like and dude. I'm a little bit lame like that. Like, dude. Well, I'm a true millennial. I'm working on it.
All right, one more.
Oh yeah, my turn. Okay,
your turn.
Serious question. It's not a serious question. All right, what's something I would never guess about you?
I play the piano.
Beautiful. You've been playing since a kid, or
I mean,
a new development?
I couldn't join a band, but I could like if there's a piano right
Love
there.
That. Can we do some singing? I'll be Alicia Keys. You be the keys.
Let's take this.
I can't play.
Let's take
I'll
this.
I'll sing though. I'll do the.
Let's take this show on the road.
This girl is on fire. She
told you she was gonna sing later.
This girl is on fire.
You should start singing in your videos.
Yeah, I will eventually. It's a 2021 goal. I don't really have time this year. My year's already planned.
Wow.
I'll get back into music next year.
It's February.
Dude, I can't get away. I'm too famous. Like,
You to-
honestly,
you
I
were
need to
shoot- you were
cut
sh-
the fame.
You were shooting guns with the Cardones the other day.
That was so fun. I love guns now. I'm
How
a
did you connect
Republican.
with that crew?
Jeremy Slate. Do you know Jeremy?
Yes,
He's
I do.
a podcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy Slate and his wife Brielle. They have a company called Command Your Brand Media where they help. Well, maybe I'm confusing. They do a couple things. They help people with their podcasts, but they help people get on podcasts and shows. And I hired Jeremy a while back, and he got me on Elena's show in Miami, Women in Power. So that's how we met, and then we hit it off right away. I was like, "Let me help you with your LinkedIn," and then. Yeah, now we're homies. So I'm speaking at her event, 10X Ladies, this month.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
They
and I like guns now. I really did enjoy the guns. I was surprised.
Yeah, I'm scared of them.
I was scared of them too.
So scared of
I was
guns.
terrified, and then I like learned all the rules and all the respect. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can not shoot my own foot off. I think I'll be good. I still I'm a total noob. I gotta learn. I gotta learn a lot, but.
And then you pitched Grant on camera too.
I did. Yeah.
Did he bite?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm still working on it, but it's getting there, no doubt. That was funny. That was I think I had to go take a nap after that interview. That was
I haven't had any interaction with them. I haven't I at all. I watched from afar, but I haven't actually met. I haven't been to any events or anything like that. But I like his jet.
Yeah, definitely inspiring people. He has a lot of great content. So does she. Like, I resonate with a lot of it. You know, I love what he says about millionaires being broke people. Very controversial, especially per our conversation about like money in the ground and all that whole thing. But yeah, he has like a very different take. Me and Dominic were just talking about it today. There's a clip where he asked this guy, how much money do you have in your bank account? And he says 60,000, and Grant goes, "You're broke. You're broke." You know what I mean? Like, how many Americans would love 60,000? Like, that's like, psh. Right. But I get it. I agree. You know, and the other thing is, I especially see this with the people my age who get success. Because if you've been working your whole life for it and you finally start making some money, you're more likely to be responsible with it. But a lot of people, especially these young millennials, you know, digital marketing entrepreneurs, they get a little money and they get a little wealth. Actually, they get relatively rich and they just make really poor investments. They go, you know, buy a Lamborghini, do all this. It's like
I did that in my 20s.
Exactly. Like, you really have to be so pragmatic.
I was an asshole with money, like, and at 25.
Just pay yourself nothing for as long as you can. Like, pay yourself nothing. You know, spend your money on experiences, not things. Like, I would much rather put all that money back into my business so that, you know, by the time I'm 40, I can live a much more like, okay, now getting a Lamborghini is like nothing, you know, whereas.
Would you drive a Lamborghini?
I can't drive shit, man. I suck at driving. I'm gonna hire a driver real soon here. You do hire a lot of that stuff. You hire a lot of tasks. I outsource everything. Yeah, I literally do. It's the best. It's the best. I have a really I've created a nice little life for myself. I have a personal chef. I have cleaners.
I don't cook, but they do. Yeah.
People do my laundry. Yeah. Just anything that I like think to myself, like, is this worth my time? No. Pay for someone else to do it. I'm not afraid to spend money. That's my thing. And that's another thing people don't get. They're like, oh, it's like, spend money. Like, I'm not scared. Oh, this contradicts what I just said. Not on Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff. I'm not afraid to spend money on services. You know, what's your fee? You know, I charge $5,000 a month for consulting. Do it. You know, it's what Grant says. Your money in the bank doesn't do anything. I'm not afraid to spend money. I put it out there. And it is nerve-wracking at first, but it comes back tenfold. So, yeah, I would say just like get comfortable with spending money and outsourcing, not on vain stuff that's not going to bring you a return, like
hookers and blow. Don't do that.
Right, not on a depreciating asset, as they say.
Like hookers and blow.
Oh yeah, well, that's a little different because those are experiences. Maybe not the best ones.
Well,
but, you know.
I don't know what lens.
Go bungee jumping. Don't do the hookers.
How about the
blow,
zoo?
Right?
How about the zoo?
The zoo.
So I
support the caged animals.
I want to talk about one more topic that you talked about on a video because it stuck in my mind and it allowed it. I believe that true valuable content.
Oh boy,
it pole vaults people into action.
Oh, my narcissism is tingling. Which one is it?
Yes, it is. Right after this break. Yeah. So the video was about not paying your bills on time actually prevents you from making more money or something like that.
Yeah, it's actually.
I literally paid Comcast on time like that day.
It's actually about loving paying your bills.
Yeah, there you go.
And instead of being like, oh, this electricity bill's so big, oh, this insurance bill, thank God, thank God for it. Have gratitude. Like, I'm so grateful that my lights are on this month, and I'm going to write this check for the electricity, whatever it is, with gratitude. You know, I'm going to write this rent check and say a prayer thanking God for this roof over my head.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is what you're never going to amass more until you learn to appreciate what you already have. And I find myself in that trap still. I'll be like, oh, I want more. And then I'm like, Shay, this is actually like scarcity. Like, appreciate what you have, focus on what you do have, and you tend to cultivate more of it.
I love that. I love that. It comes with taking risks too a little bit.
Oh, I'm a risk taker. Let me tell you. I'll let you know when the memoir comes out. Taking a few risks in my life.
A couple. Well, I mean, you have to. That's what really.
Well, that's a lot of entrepreneurs are like that.
It's
kind of a quality of entrepreneurs and business owners, salespeople, risk takers.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. All right, we're going to segue into in this whole LinkedIn game real quick, and we're going to get a quick 30,000 foot perspective on how that works.
Did we even talk about LinkedIn? LinkedIn saved my life. Now I'm here chilling with Sebastian, talking about narcissism and stuff.
On a Friday night. What's up? In the brand new studio.
It's beautiful. I love it. This is super dope. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
This is fake brick. Hate to call it out, but it is.
This is.
I love it. It looks real. It does look real.
So I
fake it till you make it.
I took a risk. That's terrible advice. I took a risk and inked a deal for this studio, not knowing what 2020 would look like, other than I made a non-negotiable boundary that I set with myself. And I guess you could call it a goal. It's more of an intention to be able to help 100 people start a podcast, right? And I'm like, if I do that, it's all going to fall together. We're going to have the office across the hall and down here. We're going to have several studios because 100 people starting a podcast is a really big deal. And then my MC business, I'm going to do 12 MC gigs this year. So between those two, I'm on a value add front. We're helping people extract their story, because a lot of what I do is not just help someone start a podcast. Starting a podcast is not that difficult. A lot of what I do is help people actually get behind the mic and actually get in front of the camera and be able to
present.
Yeah, to be able.
You're a confidence coach.
I guess I could be. I've been called worse. So a lot. People's number 2 fear is dying. Number 1 is public
speaking.
Right, 100%.
Yeah, not at all.
So
I mean, not for me at all.
No,
yeah,
we're cut from a different thread than most, but I would say 80% of people do not like cameras whatsoever. I don't want to be in front of a camera because it's a story and it's a
so
reel
true.
that they've created.
I know people
I'm gonna look like shit. I'm gonna listen.
I love the storyline. Yeah.
And Andy Warhol said one a long time ago. If you're a creator and you're an artist, don't worry about the beholder, because their opinion is none of your concern.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to shape it, mold it, anything. You're just going to keep creating was the idea, right? And I dated a girl about 5 years ago that was.
You've dated lots of girls, Sebastian.
I've been single.
I've
been single since gratitude training.
Oh my gosh, he is out for business, ladies. If you are interested. We are here in Coral Gables. Stop on by.
This is one of those clips.
He's got crooked teeth, y'all. He has got crooked teeth.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Fantastic. What was I talking about?
The girl you were dating.
Yeah. So she couldn't do public speaking. She's like, I just have this fear of it. I'm like, okay, well, let's go back to the beginning.
Right.
Of when we first felt pain pertaining to speaking in front of people. And she's like, well, I was 6 years old and I was in a play in theater and I came out and I forgot all my lines and I said, and everybody started laughing. And I go, I'm sorry that happened. But that was when you were 6 years old. That was a long, long time ago. But you've decided to carry that with you this entire time and continue to revolve and evolve the story and recreate it and enroll people into the story, believing it even more. And now it's ingrained in your psyche that you are not a public speaker. You cannot public speak. And public speaking is not something that you will ever do. And I'm here to tell you today, it's complete bullshit, because you have an opportunity in a couple of days to walk into a group of women, give a conversation about personal branding and about building brands and tying it to a mission and doing something significant with their life. And you're more concerned on what you think people are going to think about you.
I agree.
So that makes you a taker.
Oh, I love that.
Because everybody in that room is there to hear what you have to say. So for you to be, I'm too afraid of getting out from, I guess, getting out of your own way. And so anyway, she went on to go give that talk and crush it. And she's been giving talks ever since.
That's amazing.
And that really, the switch flip for me because
Yeah, it's so true. Then and are you
but it's so common though. Like so people say, so
I
what's
have
this?
I have clients who actually do public speaking and they're afraid to make videos for LinkedIn.
Right.
I'm like, what? A video is like, we could literally go delete this right now. This is not live.
Right.
You're talking, you go live in front of 1,000 people, can't mess up any lines, got to go start to finish, no errors, and you're fine. But you're afraid to turn on a camera. I mean, it is wild.
Well, I just say, listen, your like the video's gonna look like. I'm like, that's just not your decision. And once you help people,
My videos
understand,
look like shit in the beginning. Yeah,
I
social
think
media doesn't care.
they
That's the
don't.
thing. Social media doesn't care. I literally ran one of the biggest video licensing companies on Facebook for years, and I can tell you, majority of the videos that went viral were shot on a cell phone. Social media doesn't care. This is not.
They actually want that. They want the peek behind the curtain.
People aren't paying $25 to go get a cinematic experience at a movie theater. If I walked into a movie theater and paid good money for a ticket and it was shot on a cell phone, I would probably be upset. But this is not the case on social media. People don't expect that.
True. Very true. All right, let's wrap things up here by talking about.
Yeah. What do you want to talk? How can I be of service to you, Sebastian?
LinkedIn saved your life. We've talked about that. We covered that.
Really did.
You stayed consistent with it. You
Shout
built
out
that
Jeff
community.
Weiner. Yeah.
And you built a community around all that. Now you help founders and CEOs become LinkedIn rock stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. So let's pretend that I signed on with you today. Walk me through what to expect over the next 90 days.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's essentially a boot camp. I call it a boot camp for a reason, because what I do through the program is I teach business owners how to apply everything that I know and everything that's in my brain about digital marketing and video content for the social media news feeds, specifically LinkedIn. So by the end of it's a 6-week program. And by the end, you are fully armed and ready to create video content consistently for your brand, know what to talk about, know how to do it, not be scared on camera, and do it all without sucking up too much time or breaking the bank, which is what most people think. They think video content is going to be too expensive, too time consuming. I break down all of that. So it's a lot of like,
it's a 6-week program.
Yeah, it's 6-week online.
And what if people want to do business with you longer than 6 weeks?
Yeah, there's a retainer model after that where they can like pay a monthly fee to like stay in the community and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's just one big community.
Yeah, and it's been super successful. Like, I really just believe there's still so few people in the world, Sebastian, who understand newsfeed video specifically, and I'm very fortunate and honored that I had that experience on Facebook all those years and with my first company. Because I had such a unique experience working for all those blogs. I mean, I got to talk about it more. I honestly haven't even talked about it a lot on LinkedIn. But yeah, I mean, I worked for like literally the biggest blogs on Facebook, and they taught me everything I know. And I still just see a lot of companies, even with big marketing budgets, video teams, marketing teams, they struggle to really understand how to connect in the newsfeed. And be able to teach that to a business owner so they can apply it for themselves, so they know how to outsource to an editor, and it's all cheap and it's streamlined and it's quality. And I teach a lot of like general marketing too, and messaging, how to connect with your target market, how to know how to, explain things so that you're touching on their pain points and not just being selly like a lot of people on LinkedIn are. But it's really beautiful to see people at the end come out like, oh wow, I can do this, and way more confident, like you said, with the videos.
Why do you think LinkedIn decided, what, they were the first on the block, like 2004. I remember I've signed up.
I think it was 2002. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
That's
so
wild.
I joined in like end of 2004, like
Wow.
MySpace days.
Yeah.
I should be a Shay right now because I've been on LinkedIn so long.
Aww.
But I'm not. But you're in the studio, so maybe there's hope.
Well,
Hey, okay. So I'll pause you for 2 seconds to say that I shared a teaser of her being on the show the other day, and she made one comment and broke the fucking internet. Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah, 5,000 views on an image. That's first timer here.
Yeah,
So,
that's what happens when you get
not
big.
bad for a noob.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to do it, and thank you for having me in your wonderful studio. It's been a pleasure. But that's really another little hack on LinkedIn is if you can get bigger active influencers to engage on your posts.
We've had a whole lineup. I had Joe on. I've known Joe for years. Joe's amazing.
Yeah, how did you know Joe?
Joe and I met at a gig.
He just did Landmark too. He was telling me about it.
Yeah, we met at a gig in Philly.
Oh my god,
he
is like literally the exact same in person as his video. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people you meet in person, you're like, oh wow, they actually suck. But he is like the exact same, like the energy. He's even better in person, honestly. He's really a great presenter and really good at building community and getting like, I'm in awe of him.
He's part of an awesome organization called the EO organization, or entrepreneur organization. And so you got to be a CEO, and you got to be doing $1 million a year, and you're like mastermind, and it's like a fraternity.
I think he's told me about. All right,
So
wrap me up, Sebastian.
Yeah,
what do you?
You and I could like a burrito.
We'll be here till Sunday.
I was about to say the conversation will wrap up like Monday, so you're definitely gonna have to come back to the show on here.
All right.
I think our listeners have a good understanding that I saw some negative feedback about LinkedIn this morning. I sent you the text.
Yeah.
My best friend sent it to me, and he's a big fan of this individual, et cetera. And I said, I completely disagree. He knew I had you coming in tonight, so he wanted to like start that first. Like I got that text.
He knew.
6 in the
Oh,
morning.
so that was your friend.
No, my friend
that was a text.
No, my friend didn't write it. My friend sent me a screenshot of it, and it was just basically talking about LinkedIn being a land of narcissism.
It can be.
It totally can be.
It can be. Yeah, but that's all social media.
Well, I think what's happening is that we're the more content that's being created that's effective and valuable, and the true communities are being created, and out of those communities, like my vision for the podcast launch lab isn't just the 100 shows, it's the 100 shows that we take offline, and then we do podcast launch lab live, and I'm the MC, and I bring in all the people that started a show to be the keynote speaker, and we've got sponsors like Libsyn and Spotify, you heard, and the vision, and then having this huge community just like you're building with people that want to be LinkedIn influencers and rock stars, for people to, because I think that's extremely powerful when other people can get into a private like Facebook group that they invested to be part of, and there's like, and then you start doing retreats and offline stuff and all kinds of, that's really where the magic happens.
Yeah, taking it offline.
Right. And exactly, taking it off. Right. And you said that the other day when you did the plug for the LinkedIn local Miami video.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is like,
I did.
Every now and then we need to get out of the house and go to a LinkedIn local
exactly
event, which I totally agree with
exactly.
Well, this has been a great conversation. We like almost went like Rogan style here on freaking
my gosh,
hour and a half.
Let's cut it at one. We'll make the 120 mark. So this will be good. We're not too lengthy.
This works out good. All right, so we'll round out. Even though I have a million questions with my thanks to Pod Decks here that I could possibly ask you. We're gonna finish things up by just hypothetically. We're gonna play a little hypothetical situation that you and I are at the same event, and we're in, I don't know, New York City. Okay. You just got done giving a keynote, and I was the MC, so we're all done. We're kind of doing our speaker thing. We went to the dinner thing. We're kind of off the hook now, and we went to dinner. We've had some drinks. We're out with a group, the whole nine, and we're at the hotel bar, and I spot across the hotel bar, a karaoke bar. And I'm like, Shay, let's do this.
You are trying to get me to sing right now? Is that what's happening? No.
I just want to know what song, hypothetically, you and I would sing given the opportunity.
Duet together?
Correct.
What is a duet? Like, I know like a couple of my go-to karaoke songs, but I'm trying to think of a good duet. Probably.
I mean, at that point in time.
I know. You know what I love? This is actually a karaoke song. It's the one that's like, what's it called?
The one from Greece?
No. I love Greece. Though.
Islands in the Stream, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers.
It's the Stay by Rihanna and whoever's in that. Song with her.
Yeah, that one too. At that point in time, I may have enough tequila in me. I'd want to. Oh, that's a good one. That is, yeah.
Cold head, hot head.
Have you heard "Love Me Anyway" from Chris Stapleton and Pink?
No, but I love Pink.
Oh my goodness! I'm like at that point, I could totally I'd have some tequila in me. I could bust out my best.
Little tequila.
Chris Stapleton.
Little tequila make you do anything.
Oh my goodness!
Right.
What's the country song?
I don't like country.
You and tequila.
There's one country song I love. Just one. It's the one "Head Over Boots" by you know what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know why. That is my freaking jam, dude.
A new one?
No, "Head Over Boots." It's called "Head Over Boots."
Is it John Party?
Sweep you off.
Yeah. My daughter just texted me the other day. She goes, "This is catchy."
It's the best song ever.
I just saw him in Nashville. He's great. John Party's fantastic.
Oh, Nashville's a great town.
His career is exploding. Well, you go on tour with Dirk Bentley.
All right, let's go. We got 50 seconds, Sebastian. What
was the song?
Stay by Rihanna. Yeah, I love that song.
There we go.
We would get jazzy with it. All right.
So I made it happen. I was like, I'm going to meet Shay.
Oh, you're a manifester. That's how you do it. Well, you happen to live in my city, which helps.
That does help.
I do live close by.
I messaged you.
I am a hop and a skip, if you know what I mean.
This is true. Well, we met through a mutual offline friend. Like, didn't have anything to do really with LinkedIn.
Well, now he does because he's working for me. Dominic works for me.
There we go.
Putting these men to work.
Well, Shay, this is it's been a great conversation. We're definitely going to have more conversations. We clearly have plenty to talk about. You're a freaking rock star.
I love meeting you, and I'm so excited for your show, and it's been an honor to be your first guest.
The Seb Rush show here at the brand new podcast Launch Lab studio. We're making history here. We're going to look back one day and go, remember when you opened that little studio in the Gables and you were like, I'm going to help 100 people, and now you're like 5,000 deep in there?
Oh.
We're making memories.
That's right. Awesome.
Thanks again, Shay.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Sebastian.
Hey friends, Sebastian again. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Seb Rush Show. I sure do appreciate it. My goodness, Shay Rowbottom, absolute total rock star, and it was my pleasure to have her in the studio as the first studio guest for the Seb Rush Show. We're doing it studio style these days. Make sure you follow Shay and connect with her. All of her information will be in the show notes. I'm Sebastian Rusk, signing off from the brand new podcast Launch Lab studio here in beautiful Miami. We'll talk to you next time.